Hello everybody, Tilka here, and welcome to another episode of Donuts Disney Movie Reviews. What can you say about British actress Angela Lansbury? Born on October 16th, 1925, just 2 years after Disney was founded, she made her acting debut in the 1944 film Gaslight and would later go on to become a great actress for movies and television shows, such as Great Velvet in the same year as Gaslight, the 1966 Broadway production of the musical, and Jerome Lawrence and Robert Edwin Lee's book Mame, being the voice of Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast, Fantasia 2000 as herself, and let's not forget the television series Murder, She Wrote. Angela Lansbury would go on to live until she passed away on October 11, 2022 at the age of 96. In 1971, Lansbury starred in her first Disney film, which is what I'm reviewing this week. Released on December 13th, 1971, the movie is Bedknobs and Broomsticks. The film opens in 1940 England during World War II, where some children at a museum are being evacuated from London to stay safe from the bombings. 3 of the kids, named the Rollins, are to be in the care of Miss Price, played by the late Angela Lansbury, who soon arrives for her package that Miss Hobday, played by the late Tessie O'Shea, has for her.
Here we are. Another object from Professor Amelius Brown in London.
Thank you.
Is it what you expected?
I imagine so.
Professor Brown sent you a cat last time, did he not?
Yes.
Professor Brown is well?
I haven't the faintest idea.
Are we to have the pleasure of meeting him?
I very much doubt it. I don't know Professor Brown personally. Was there something else?
As a matter of fact, there is. Would you come this way, Miss Price?
Well, I'm very anxious to get home, you know.
Come along, please.
Mrs. Hobday then takes Miss Price into the museum where she explains to her that the Rollins are in her care for during the war.
How do you do?
How are you, miss?
The government are trying to evacuate as many children as possible into the country.
Very sensible of them.
Today they sent us 45, and I've had to find homes for all of them at very short notice. These are the last 3. All right, children, pick up your things.
You're not suggesting that I should take these children into my house?
Exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that's quite out of the question. Children and I don't get on.
I believe you, miss. Come on, back to London.
Be quiet.
Besides, I have work to do. Very important work.
Miss Price, you do have that entire house to yourself. And according to the order of the Ministry of Civil Defense, you have no choice.
So Miss Price unwillingly takes the kids to her house.
My parcel, please. Bring your things inside.
Bit murky, ain't it? Yeah. Not another house round here for miles. Wipe your feet. Big places. Who else lives here?
I live alone. It suits my purpose. All right. Come along, everybody.
She then takes them to her deceased father's bedroom, where Charlie and Paul, played by Ian Wayhill and Roy Snart, respectively, will share the bed, and Carrie, played by Cindy O'Callaghan, will sleep on the couch.
Thank you, miss.
Is that all you brought?
We ain't exactly burdened down with frillies. Travel light. That's us.
Well, I don't think this arrangement is going to work, but it seems that I have no alternative.
We do our best, miss. Really, we will.
Thank you, Carrie. The bathroom is along the landing. Supper is at 6. You will wash thoroughly.
Wash?
You will wash yourselves, otherwise there will be no supper. Is that clear?
A house of horror. That's what we've come to.
That night, once the kids are asleep, Miss Price opens her parcel from Professor Amelius Brown and reads the letter inside.
Dear Madam, with this shipment, the Amelius Brown Correspondence College of Witchcraft sends you its heartiest congratulations on qualifying for the 1st degree of your chosen calling. You may now call yourself Apprentice Witch. Yours faithfully, Amelia's Brown.
She then sees that the parcel is a broomstick, which she takes out for a ride, but she has a little trouble at first.
Lakipo, Necriff, Scrumpet, Leech! It's going to be a little different this time. All right, I know it's not ladylike. Lakipo, Necriff, Scrumpet, Leech.
She then manages to take off. Meanwhile, the kids are trying to run away back to London. They then see Miss Price flying on the broomstick and realize she's a witch.
That's the sort of thing witches do. Oh. She don't fly good, do she?
She then crash lands in some trees. Charlie then thinks that she could be an opportunity for them.
She don't want anyone to know she's a witch, does she? Not ruddy likely. That's the opportunity, and I intend to make the most of it. Come on.
The next morning during breakfast, the kids tell Miss Price that they saw her flying last night on the broomstick. Charlie then says that they won't tell anybody around about this if she makes a few changes around there.
I mean, I'd like to see an occasional sausage on the table here. A bit of strawberry jam. Charlie, let me handle this. And another thing, Miss Price, there'll be no more of this wash, 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 morning and night.
Anything else?
Now you mention it, I could do with a bit of lolly.
Lolly?
Cash. Cold hard cash. You must have buckets of it.
For your information, the most accomplished of witches can't make money out of thin air. Have you ever heard of a rich witch?
Be that as it may, you don't want us to blab, do you?
Miss Price then says that they could get into trouble since she's a witch.
What will you do? Turn me into a toad? Lovely, a toad with pink eyes.
I might just do that.
Go on then, I'll dare you.
Very well, Charles.
You shouldn't have said that to her. She don't frighten me. She can't even ride a proper broom.
So Miss Price tries to turn Charlie into a toad, but he turns into a rabbit instead, and Miss Price's cat, Cosmic Creepus, chases him.
Don't let Charlie get hurt.
Oh, not to worry. My spells don't last very long. I'm just an apprentice witch, you know.
Look out, Charlie!
Charlie then turns back, and Miss Price blames herself.
Bad enough not being able to manage a broom, I can't perform a simple basic spell.
You dared her to do it. I don't see why we can't all be friends. Maybe she's not a wicked witch.
Of course I'm not.
See?
If only I could trust you.
Miss Price explains to the kids that the work she's doing is very important to the war effort.
What'd you say, Charlie? We can keep a secret. Yeah, if someone made it worth our while.
I don't follow.
Simple. You give us something valuable to seal the pact. Oh, Charlie, don't try to be clever again. It's for our own protection, ain't it? If we broke the pact, we'd have to give back the valuable object.
So Miss Price agrees to the deal and tries to think of something to give the kids. She then suggests one of her spells.
Bet that's not worth much.
Come with me.
I like you better as a rabbit, Charlie. Shut up, you. Well, I never had a rabbit.
So she takes the kids into a room, looks for a spell, and finds it. The traveling spell. She then asks the kids if they have anything that twists, and Paul shows her a bed knob he got from the bed upstairs.
Yes, I think that will be all right.
So Miss Price casts the traveling spell on the bed knob and explains that it will take them anywhere they want to go by telling it the destination, placing it back onto the bed, and turning it a quarter to the left.
Go. Miss Price, will it really?
Well, I see no reason to think otherwise.
Oh, thank you for the lovely gift.
Oh, I'm sorry, but it does belong to Paul. He's the only one who can work the spell.
Me?
Yes,
That's right, mine will want it.
that's the way the spell works.
Nice Miss Heelmaker thing.
Suddenly, the bell for the front door rings, and Miss Price receives a letter from Amelia Sprout saying that the Witchcraft College has been closed down because of the war.
This means that we shall not be sending you the final lesson in which you expressed so much interest.
The kids then come downstairs, they're sorry about the news, and they ask her if there's anything they can do to help, which Miss Price says that she needs the bed knob back from Paul and explains why.
Now, Paul, ridiculous as it may seem to have to explain this to a 6-year-old child, but I do need your help.
Go ahead.
I was expecting a very important spell in the mail from my teacher, Professor Amelia Brown. And it hasn't come.
What's that got to do with my knob?
I must go to London immediately and see Professor Brown. With his help, we may be able to bring this war to a successful end. That is why I need the knob. What is your decision? Thank you, Paul.
They then go upstairs to the bedroom where they get ready to travel on the bed. However, Charlie doesn't believe it'll work. Miss Price then asks Carrie how old Charlie is.
11, going on 12.
I see. That's what my father used to call the age of not believing.
What's that supposed to be?
And comes a song called The Age of Not Believing.
When you set aside your childhood heroes and your dreams are lost upon a shelf, you're at the age of not believing, and worst of all, you doubt yourself. Throw that into the wastebasket. You're a castaway where no one hears you, on a barren isle in a lonely sea.
What's that supposed to be? Poetry?
Where did all the happy endings go? Where can all the good times be?
They all get onto the bed except for Charlie. Miss Price then has Paul say take them to Professor Amelia Sprout. Cosmic Creepus then scares Charlie, who gets onto the bed, and they take off. They then land in London, but Charlie's not convinced because he doesn't see Professor Brown. But then suddenly Professor Brown, played by the late David Tomlinson, shows up and does some magic tricks, but he's not very good.
That ain't the kind of professor I expected. I'm not sure it's the kind of professor Miss Price expected either.
What effect a little smoke is, with a dash of hocus pocus and the scent of burning sulfur in the air. And now gentlemen, for my next trick, may I draw your attention to this solid piece of ordinary window glass framed in an ordinary, unprepared frame. May I also draw your attention to this perfectly ordinary steel nail. Now, I shall place the framed glass in this brown, unprepared, mark you, ladies and gentlemen, unprepared brown paper bag. I shall now attempt to drive the steel nail through the glass without breaking the glass. Impossible, I can hear you say. We shall see.
He ain't very good, even if he is a professor.
Miss Price returns and tells Professor Brown that she's one of his pupils from the Witchcraft College. She also says that she has come for the most important last lesson.
I'm sorry, my dear. No refunds. Look at your contract.
But I must have the spell that comes with the last lesson.
The matter is closed. I bid you good day. I have an appointment to my club for squash rackets.
The matter is not closed. Don't let him get away.
Ryder!
Please go. Would you mind? Would you mind? Will you get this child off my leg? Will you get this child?
Miss Price then turns Professor Brown into a rabbit. Then, once he changes back, she explains that she used one of his own spells on him.
My spell? From my school?
Not one of your best spells, in point of fact. It doesn't last very long. Some of your others are much better.
But I don't understand. My spell? They were just nonsense words that I got out of an old book.
Well, they work perfectly well for me.
They work for you. Good woman. Some kind of destiny has brought us together.
You got the words for these spells out of some old book, you say?
Well, more or less, I changed them round a bit. I gave them a bit of my own style, as it were. The old sorcerers did have a bit of a tendency to waffle on, but, dear lady, I never thought I'd meet somebody like you. What a treasure.
Mr. Brown, will you please stick to the point? I would like to see this book immediately.
So Professor Brown invites her and the kids to a luncheon at his house where the book with the spell is. They get on the bed and fly to Professor Brown's house at 8 Winchfield Road.
Well, we're here. I would never have believed it.
You must have given us the wrong address. You don't live here, do you?
In point of fact, I do. Temporarily, at any rate. I found the front door open. The house was deserted. Everyone has left the neighborhood.
Now, why should they do that?
This probably has something to do with it.
Merciful heavens. I should think you'd be terrified at the very idea of living here.
You'd have thought so, wouldn't you? I am, by nature, a little bit of a coward, but then I pondered, as I often do. In the perverse nature of things, this diabolical object is probably the best friend I've ever had. It enables me, for the first time in my life, to live like a king.
They go inside the house. After finishing lunch, the kids explore the house and find a nursery upstairs.
What is it? A toy shop? No, it's a nursery. Ain't you ever seen a nursery? No, and neither have you.
Downstairs, Professor Brown takes Miss Price into the library and shows her a poster of him as an illusionist.
What do you think of that?
Well, I don't know what to think.
Miss Price, just think how successful I could be with an assistant who can really do magic.
Oh?
Dear lady, have you ever considered entering what some of us call show business?
The what business?
The theatre, pantomimes, village fairs, the seaside, Brighton, Blackpool, follies on the prop.
Mr. Brown, I have very important work to do.
Listen to me. we could make a packet.
Then comes a song called With a Flare.
Let us strike a bargain. You possess a gift, but I can speak the jargon that will give your gift the needed lift.
Oh?
You possess the know-how, and I command the show-how. Oh, how successful you could be with me.
I'm afraid we're wasting valuable time.
Now a song called Eglantine, which happens to be Miss Price's first name.
Eglantine, Eglantine, oh, how you'll shine. Your lot and my lot have got to combine. Eglantine, Eglantine, hark to the stars. Destiny calls us, the future is ours. As the shine sells the boot and the blossoms the fruit, all you need to succeed in your plan is the proper ally upon whom to rely. And I'm your man, for I have an acumen that's nigh superhuman. I sell things that nobody can. So I humbly suggest you accept my behest. I'm your man.
Miss Price then turns Professor Brown into a rabbit again and has him find the book for her.
At last, Mr. Brown.
So Miss Price reads through the book, Professor Brown changes back, and Miss Price finds the page which says the name of the spell. Substitutiary locomotion. However, the rest of the book is missing, which is why Professor Brown closed down the college.
But where are the other pages?
Haven't the foggiest.
Listen to me, Mr. Brown.
I'm all ears.
You will be if you don't pay attention. Where did you get this book?
Well, I bought it from a chap in the street market. There was a bit of unpleasantness, as a matter of fact. He claimed that I'd given him a dud coin, I ask you. There was a sort of scuffle. The book tore. He got one half, and I got the other.
But where's the other half now?
It's probably been thrown away. But if it still exists, there's only one place to find it.
Where is that?
So the group flies to Portobello Road to look for the rest of the book. In comes a song.
Rarely Boston,
Genuine plaster.
a filigreed samovar owned by the Tsars. A pen used by Shelley.
A new Botticelli.
The snippers that clipped old King Edward's cigars.
Made in Hong Kong. 2 bob a dozen, would you say?
Wonderful, Crystal!
Napoleon's pistols.
Society heirlooms with genuine gems. Rembrandt's El Greco's, Toulouse-Lautrec's.
Painted last week on the banks of the Thames.
Very interesting. But where do they sell books?
There's a little place around the corner. Portobello Road, Portobello Road, street where the riches of ages are stowed. Anything and everything a chap can unload is sold off the barrow in Portobello Road.
You meet all your chums in the Portobello Road.
Lovely to see you. Goodbye.
However, after going from bookstore to bookstore, she doesn't find the other half. After closing time, a man named Swinburne, played by the late Bruce Forsyth, walks over to Professor Brown and says that the bookman wants to see him and Miss Price.
Who is the bookman? And what right has he got to order me about?
Under the circumstances, I think we better ask questions later. Excuse me.
So they head to the bookman's place, where the bookman, played by the late Sam Jaffe, has the other half of the book.
Who is this person?
Miss Eglantine Price, a charming young woman of my acquaintance.
Miss Price? I've been looking for this other bit a long time. Mr. Swinburne told me you were in the market making inquiries. And here we are. I don't mind saying, to see it all together at last, there isn't much I wouldn't do.
Or haven't done, for that matter. Right, Gov?
Close your mouth, Swinburne. Is that clear? It's all rather like a jolly detective story or jigsaw puzzle, isn't it? We're both after the same spell. You have one clue, I have the other.
In that case, the sensible thing seems to be for us to cooperate.
I assume you're looking for the same thing I am. May I?
So Miss Price and the bookman trade halves and try to figure out the spell.
Substitutionary locomotion, the lost miracle of the ancients, and so on and so forth. Here we are. The spell which creates this force is 5 mystic words. These words are
engraved on the star that was always worn by the sorcerer Astaroth.
But where are the words of the spell? I assumed they'd be in your half of the manuscript.
But I thought they'd be in yours.
Once again, a dead end. I shall never know the secret.
Professor Brown sees an illustration of Astaroth, and he's where the star with the words of the spell on it is. Miss Price wonders why there are animals around him, and the bookman explains that near the end of his life, Astaroth locked animals in cages and looked for a spell that would make them anthropomorphic.
The legend is that finally the animals rebelled at the experiment, killed Astaroth, and stole many of his powers.
Including the star with the spell on it.
Possibly. They found a ship, sailed away, and were never heard of again. However, there's a final notation in my half of the book saying that in the 17th century, a shipwrecked Lascar was taken from the sea, half mad with thirst and exposure to the sun. Before he died, he swore he had seen an island ruled by animals. Where? There is, I regret to say, no such island. I looked for it in every chart. The Isle of Nabumbu does not exist.
However, Paul says that the Isle of Nabumbu does exist and shows him the book he got from the nursery.
Let me see it.
You're not interested, Bookman. It's just a simple children's book.
I'll be the judge of that. Give it to me.
No.
Please don't annoy me. Give me the book, boy.
Not likely.
Bit of a stalemate, isn't it?
If it's all the same to you, I'd rather use my own sentiment, you know.
So the group gets back onto the bed. Paul tells the bed to take them to the island of Nabumbu, and sure enough, they arrive there. It's an animated island, and they land in the lagoon, and there they talk to a codfish voiced by the late Bob Holt.
I'm Mr. Codfish.
Hello, young fellow. Welcome to Nabumbu Lagoon.
Now I'm hearing things. Fish don't talk.
Not too bright, is he?
It's me brother.
Oh? Sorry.
Mr. Codfish, where is the island of Nabumbu?
You mean the land part? Oh, that. Straight up. You can't miss it. None of my business, of course. But I shouldn't go there if I were you. Having troubles, they are.
Troubles?
He's right, you know. A lot of trouble.
Well, trouble or not, we should be getting along. I wish to see who is in charge.
What's the rush? It's really rather splendid down.
Now comes a song called The Beautiful Briny.
How pleasant, bobbing along on the bottom of the beautiful briny sea. What a chance to get to bed to peep at the plants and creatures of the deep. We glide far below the rolling tide, serene through the bubbly blue and green. It's lovely bobbing along on the bottom of the beautiful briny sea.
During the song, the group enters the beautiful briny ballroom where Professor Brown and Miss Price have a dance.
What a chance to get a better peep at the plants and creatures of the deep.
It's grand you're dancing on the sand.
Each glance bubbles over with romance.
It's lovely bobbing along
through the water where we get along swimmingly. Far from the frenzy of the frantic world above,
two beneath the blue
could even fall in love. Bobbing along, singing a song on the bottom of the beautiful briny sea.
After the song, a fishing hook catches hold of the bed, and the fisherman, who happens to be a bear, voiced by the late Dallas McKennon, reels them in.
People! Oh no! What scurvy luck!
My goodness!
I'll deal with this, my dear.
Professor Brown walks over to the bear. The bear carries him over to a sign which says no peopling allowed by order of the king. However, Paul says that anybody can see the king by law since it's in his book.
So it do. What? But if you people know what was good for you, you'd get yourselves all thrown back. The king don't like people.
Nonetheless, we must see the king on an urgent personal matter. Please lead the way.
Uh-huh. But just don't say I didn't warn you, see?
So the bear takes them to the king's tent. A secretary bird, voiced by the late Lenny Weinrib, asks the bear what he wants.
I caught some people down at the Sea Lagoon, and they want to see the king.
Really? Well, we can't be bothered with that sort of thing now, can we?
I don't know that I fancy this.
His Majesty is in a frightful rage.
Professor Brown talks to the bird, saying that he's a man of talent and could maybe cheer the king up.
No. You don't understand. As everyone knows, His Majesty is the world's greatest soccer player. But due to a technical problem, the Royal Cup match cannot take place today, and His Majesty had so set his heart on it. Throw these creatures back into the sea.
Aye, sir.
Just a moment. I can help.
Do you really think so? I'd be most grateful. Do you know soccer?
Do I know anything about soccer? Why, I was captain of Tottenham Hotspurs for 2 years. 3 seasons with Manchester United.
Yes.
Before that,
You'll do. Come this way, please.
So Professor Brown enters the tent and tells King Leonidas, also voiced by Lenny Weinrib, that he'll be the referee for the soccer game.
I can't tell you how I appreciate this. For some reason, we have great difficulty finding referees round here. If there be one thing we like, it's volunteers. Eh, Bertie? Har, har, har.
He's a proper king. Look at his crown. What's he got round his neck?
What a magnificent ornament, sire.
Yes. Wouldn't be without it. Been in the family for years.
The Star of Astaroth.
So they head to the field.
Rise, please.
Loyal fans, this is official. We have a volunteer referee. Let the match begin!
have a nice clean game. Right through, Blues. Best foot forward.
The game then begins.
Weird sort of game they play here.
Near the end of the game, the ball deflates, King Leonidas manages to get it into the net and his team wins.
Goal! Game's over. I win!
Afterwards, Professor Brown pulls a gypsy switch on Leonidas. He takes his star and replaces it with the whistle, and then the group leaves. The secretary bird lets the king know about this, and he goes after them, but then Miss Price turns him into a rabbit.
Oh, bother. I do hate shoddy work.
The group then returns home where Miss Price borrows Professor Brown's shoes to do the spell on them, but as Professor Brown gets the star, it disappeared.
It's all right, Mr. Brown. I should have realized that it would be quite impossible to take an object from one world into another.
So Miss Price tries to remember the words. Paul says he knows them because it's in his book. Miss Price then tries the spell out, but nothing happens. So the others help out by chanting the words Tricuna Macoides Tricorum Satis Dei. And comes a song called Substitutiary Locomotion.
Mystic power that's far beyond the wildest notion. It's so weird, so feared, and yet wonderful to see. Substitutionary locomotion, come to me. Shh.
Now.
Triguna, Macoides, Tricorum Satis Dei.
Suddenly, other things in the house come to life, and Miss Price tries to figure out how to stop it.
Didn't I give you my all-purpose cut-off spell? Listen, number 8.
Number 8.
Yes, number 8, I think it was.
Oi, me sandy trousers!
Buzz off, old chap. Find your own dancing partner. Oh!
Carrie, slow down! Charles? Mr. Brown, will you please control your shoes?
Dear lady, I very much fear that we have nothing under control. Oh! Ah! Oh! Ah!
Later, after the commotion has stopped, Miss Price is feeling bad because she hasn't mastered the spell yet. Professor Brown says that she needs more practice.
Do you really think so?
No doubt about it. Meantime, there's nothing to liven the spirits like a little master juggling. Right, Charlie?
Go on then, Gav, give us some juggling.
Very few better than me at this. All you need is 20 years practice and a touch of genius. Never happened to me before. I don't usually juggle with Perhaps under my feet.
She's laughing.
Suddenly the doorbell rings and it's Miss Hobday who tells Miss Price that the kids can be sent to a new home. However, she says the kids will be staying with her, and Paul believes that Professor Brown will be their father, so Miss Hobday leaves.
It is true, Mr. Brown. You are going to be our father now, aren't you?
Well, we are rather rushing things, aren't we?
Perhaps Mr. Brown has other things besides you children to think about.
Yes, well, as a matter of fact, I should have left ages ago. I must get a train back to London tonight. It's rather an important matter, as a matter of fact. I'd like to tell you about it, but it's a little bit hush-hush, you know. Sort of a secret.
Professor Brown then gets ready to leave for his train.
If I've been any sort of help to you, I'm pleased.
You've been immensely kind. Thank you.
I've enjoyed being with you.
Perhaps it's been good for all of us. Will you be coming back?
Someday, my dear. I certainly hope that we shall meet again. Someday. When all this war business is over.
I see.
And then perhaps I shall realize my fondest dream. Eglantine and Emilius. Illusionists extraordinary. Just think how that'll look on the poster, huh?
The children are going to miss you.
You really think they will?
Yes.
Well, I shall miss you. All of you.
He then heads to the train station. Meanwhile, some soldiers invade Miss Price's house. Miss Price tries to turn the Colonel, played by the late John Erickson, into a rabbit, but she can't remember the spell.
Not again. Your memory, Miss Price.
Charles, would you kindly fetch my notebook from the workroom, please?
Right.
Hey, you last book! Here you bring!
Fräulein, we have work to do. I am sorry, but I must send all of you someplace where you will no longer be a nuisance. Schaffen Sie die Leute raus. In die Burg.
At the train station, Mr. Brown sees some soldiers and heads back to Miss Price's house, where he finds some more soldiers, enters the house through a window, and finds Miss Price and the kids gone. Cosmic then snarls and the soldiers enter the house. Mr. Brown goes into the potion room. He finds the rabbit spell and turns himself into one. He heads over to the museum where Miss Price and the kids are being imprisoned.
Try holding your breath.
I am holding it. We could strip him down and grease him with soap.
No, it's no good. Do it.
Could have told you that in the first place.
Mr. Brown enters and changes back.
You didn't think that I could do that spell, did you?
I am glad to see you. But what about all these Germans?
Well, as Charlie says, what's wrong with the substitutionary locomotion spell? That ought to be useful.
No, but it isn't ready yet. You saw what happened this afternoon.
Well, we have to chance it. We can't let these so-and-sos get away with a beastly little raid.
Miss Price then uses the substitutionary locomotion spell on the suits of armor.
Traguna, Macoides, Tricorum, Satis, D.
Look.
Sure enough, they come to life and march out to battle with the Nazis. The soldiers retreat and destroy Miss Price's workshop, which stops the spell. With Miss Price's workshop destroyed, she's no longer a witch.
Still, I was able to perform some small service first.
That mean you ain't gonna be a witch no more? Never.
No, Paul. I realized some time ago that I could never be a proper witch.
When was that? Was it that first magic moment when you laid eyes on me?
No, it was the day my poisoned dragon's liver arrived. I knew then that anyone who felt the way I did about poisoned dragon's liver had no business being a witch.
Later, Mr. Brown joins the army, and the Home Guard escorts him to the train station.
Right, by the right, quick, march, left, right, left.
Suppose that's it. We ain't gonna have no fun no more. Well, still got this, ain't I?
And that was Bedknobs and Broomsticks. What did I think of it? It's really good. On a budget of $6.3 million, the movie made $8.25 million in domestic box office rentals by January of 1974. Then after its 1979 re-release, the lifetime gross became $11.4 million and got mixed reviews from critics. Now let's move on to the production of the film. The production started when Walt Disney bought the film rights to Mary Norton's 1943 book, The Magic Bedknob, in August 1945. Norton would then go on to publish Bonfires and Broomsticks in 1947, which was mixed with The Magic Bedknob into Bedknobs and Broomsticks 10 years later. While the negotiations for the Mary Poppins film rights were going on with P.L. Travers, there was an alternate project suggested, which was an adaptation of Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Walt Disney then hired the Sherman Brothers to start working on the film while the negotiations were stalled. They had a story meeting with producer Bill Walsh and writer Don DeGrady where the Shermans sang the song Eglantine. However, Walt fell asleep while listening to it, shelved the project, and bought the film rights for Mary Poppins. Later in spring 1966, the Sherman Brothers continued to work on Bedknobs and Broomsticks, but it was shelved because it was similar to Mary Poppins. Since their contract with the Disney Studios was going to expire in 2 years, Bill Walsh called them into their office to begin working on the film. Afterwards, Walsh, DeGrady, and the Sherman Brothers put a storyline together for months. While there wasn't a plan to start making the movie at the time, Walsh promised the Sherman Brothers that they would get called back to the studio by him and complete the movie, and it happened in 1969. During 1970 and 1971, the Sherman Brothers worked on their musical compositions again for the film. The song The Beautiful Bryony was originally from Mary Poppins when she spins a compass, which sends Jane and Michael to exotic places. But then it was used for this film. For the casting, Leslie Carson, Lynn Redgrave, Judy Carn, and even Julie Andrews were considered for the part of Miss Price. Andrews was offered the role, but she was hesitant, so they hired Angela Lansbury after Walsh called her, and she signed into the part on Halloween 1969. For Professor Emilius Brown, Peter Ustinov was considered, and Ron Moody was originally going to do it, but he refused to be in the movie unless he got top billing, which the studio didn't allow. So David Tomlinson was casted for the part. For the Rollins children, Charlie, Carrie, and Paul, played by Ian Wayhill, Carrie Callahan, and Roy Snart respectively. The former dropped out of school to start an acting career and played a schoolboy in the 1969 film David Copperfield, which he was uncredited in. He would then audition for the role of Charlie and got it. Snart was a child actor who appeared in a number of commercials and was hired for Paul for his impish, cheeky look. And O'Callahan previously acted in TV commercials and would later make her stage debut in a Peter Pan production at the Scala Theater, where she was caught by Disney's talent scouts. For the filming, which took place at the Disney Studios in Burbank, California, starting in early March of 1970 and finished on June 10th of that year, the coastal scenes with the German soldiers were filmed at location at a nearby beach in California. Other scenes were filmed in Orff Castle in Dorset, England. The filming went on for 57 days, while the animation and special effects needed 5 months each to finish. For the soccer scene on the island of Nabumbu, the sodium vapor process had to be used and was created by Petro Vlahos in the 1960s. Animator and director Ward Kimball served as the scene's animation director. Directing animator Milt Cull designed the characters, but got angry with the inconsistencies in the animation of the characters, which prompted Kimball to send a memo to adhere to animation cohesiveness to the staff on September 17, 1970. When the film was about to be released, the total running time was a little over 140 minutes. But the Radio City Music Hall, where the premiere took place, couldn't show the film, which was over 2 hours long. So around 25 minutes of the movie had to be cut, including a minor subplot featuring Roddy McDowall's character being trimmed down to a minute. 3 songs, which were A Step in the Right Direction, With a Flare, and Nobody's Problems, were cut, and the Portobello Road song was trimmed from 10 minutes to just 3. However, many years later, they would restore the movie to its original length. And now it's time for me to give my opinion on the film. In the end, Bedknobs and Broomsticks is really good. I don't think it has anything to do with Mary Poppins, which it has been highly compared to. I give it 4 stars out of 5. Well, that's it for Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Be sure to join me next week when I'll be reviewing the Disney film that's title is a word that looks like beatniks, but replace the E with an O. And if you enjoyed this video, then please tell your friends about me, leave some questions in the comments below, subscribe, and hit that like button.